Hello everyone, Jalen here from TeamBurningInfinitey, bringing you another Buddyfight deck profile. As you can see from the title, it is my Construct deck. This deck has changed up a little bit, unlike my Demon Lords, who really haven't changed since the set. Well, because Dungeon wasn't really affected in this set, but still, I did update this deck, unlike my Demon Lords, so I kind of wanted to bring this deck profile since I haven't done this in quite a while. So let me get on to it. Since this is Constructs, aka another build of enemies, we have the flag and buddy being Dungeon World flag, and my buddy is Bladewing Phoenix 521, size 2, with a pay 1 gauge call cost and double attack. It is just one of the most simple and original dungeon enemies of all time. I really still love it. I love the SP. It is by far the best monster in the Construct deck at the moment, other than the next card I'm going to go over, which is Mech Army Demon Lord Agosmar, who is a 1/1/5 size 0 with lifelink 1 in the act ability. Rest this card. If I do, I can call a construct from my drop zone without paying its call cost. So practically most of the deck can be called from the drop zone with Agosmar's ability, which is very, very helpful. And Agosmar is just very nice to throw in the center if I don't have a weapon, and if I do have a weapon, I'll throw it on the side, just get like a Blade Wing or Purgatory Block or something like that. So Agosmar is a really, really good card. It's very annoying with lifelink 1 sometimes, but it's very minimal, so it's not that bad. It's just only in those low life situations he can be a pretty bad card. And then the last size 0, and of course this would be in a Construct deck, we have 4 copies of Bronze Golem Jace, who is a Construct 2/2/1 size 0. He's just standard 2 crit, and he's being a 0. I do play 1/3 and 1 size 3 in this deck, so it just gives him a lot of relevancy being a 0. Other than that, he's just a nice 2 crit construct that's easy to call. Just simple 2 crit since this is mainly a rush deck. Then we move on to size 1s. We have the new tech that I am trying out, and here we have 2 copies of Magical Beast Tamer Kazane. Kazane is a 4/2/1 size 1 adventure with the pay 1 gauge call cost and the ability when she attacks and there's a dungeon enemy on the field, she gets double attack for the turn. This is a pretty decent and powerful card with the right setup. Of course, the main combo is having her with Blade Wing, ironically, is by having her and Blade Wing, because then when she attacks, she gets double attack. Blade Wing already gets double attack, so that's 8 damage on their own. So then if I have a weapon like Alex Bane, then that's exactly 10 damage with a 3 gauge field, which isn't so bad. And if Alex Bane hits, I do get a gauge back, so because of having an enemy. So it's really, really good. The only problem with her is she is the 1 gauge call cost is quite annoying for an enemy deck, and she is an adventurer, so she doesn't synergize with the construct engine. She mainly here just for those kind of push plays when I do get her. So she's not bad, but she's only good in certain situations, and she is an adventurer, so I can't call her off really like Demon's Dungeon or Agosmar or anything. So that's why I play 2, so I don't end up like drawing too many of her, or something like where she'll end up in the, if I play more, she'll end up in the drop more, and then I don't really do anything with her unless I completely made this a mixed deck and played Continue and Orchestra Client or something. Next size 1, we have 2 copies of Bladewing SD, who is a construct as well, 2/2/2 size 1 with 1 gauge call cost, and when it enters the field and there's another adventure on the field, I can destroy monsters of any size. Now that I added Kazane, there is finally a second target for adventure target for getting off his ability, so that makes him a little more consistent. But Kazane does cost a gauge herself, and so does Alex Bane, so it's not that much more consistent where I will bump up the number of Bladewing SD. But it's a really cool card. It's definitely great if I have Alex Bane and Agosmar, because then Agosmar can call it for free, and I can get a free pop. And the last size 1, we have 4 copies of 1 gauge Demon. He may not be a construct, but he is a very helpful card in this deck, where he's a 3/2/1 monster with the ability when it deals damage. I put the top card of my deck into the gauge, and enemies do need a lot of gauge. He's a great first turn play, so I just like usually slap him in the center, go for 2, gain after charging and drawing. So then I'm at 4 gauge, so that puts enemies in a very good position, because then usually my next turn will be followed up with calling a Blade Wing, which is 1 gauge, equipping Alex Bane, which is 1 gauge, and if I do draw it, like one of these two, mainly these, either these size ones, either of them will cost a gauge, so that's 3 gauge, and then because of if the 1 gauge demon hit, then that basically puts me at 5 gauge by discharging the draw that next turn, so I'll have like 2 spare gauge to work with, which is very nice. Then we move on to size 2s. We have still one copy of Steel Golem Futov. There are very few moments where this card is pretty amazing, and there are most times where this card is pretty but I do like it, and it is very annoying for some decks when it comes out of nowhere, when they don't see this coming. Anyway, it's an 8,000 power, 3 critical, 7,000 defense construct with a 3 gauge call cost, and he has lifelink 2, and he has the Raging Spirit effect. When your opponent attacks, the attack is redirected to him. So he's pretty much there for like maybe rush decks or just anything. I'll usually just end up charging him, and if there is an occasion where he is pretty helpful, I will call him off Agosmar. So he's not bad, too bad, but there are plenty of decks that can counter move him, like DW and Magical Goodbye, making it very annoying. So I don't really hate him, and he's not bad, but he's not the best. Next up, we have 3 copies of Purgatory Block 4, 3/4, free to call, size 2 construct with the ability when it deals damage. It's mandatory, send this card to the drop and be my play rock, paper, scissors. The loser takes 2 damage. If you only play once, and if it's a tie, then basically both players do take 2 damage. So basically, I love first turn plays of going for 3, and most people do block 3s on the first turn, and usually I don't justify blocking any first turn damage, but when this one could potentially go to 5, I kind of can justify it. It's a really powerful card. It's really great with an open field, even close center. This is hilarious with the 4K's defense, allowing it to get around some counter removal, so it makes it very annoying for my opponent. And we have 4 of the buddies, so I'm not going to get into explanation there. Then on to the only size 3 in the deck, we have 3 copies of Dragon Guardian of Sanctuary Lumiere. Lumiere is a 7/2/6, pay 2 gauge, call cost size 3, dungeon enemy, and dragon. It has the ability when it enters the field or is destroyed, I can destroy a size 1 or less on my opponent's field. And it has double attack. The thing I really like about this card is it is an enemy size 3 that finally does not have lifelink. So not having lifelink and also be able to control the board and be a nice double attacking size 3 with pretty good stats. I really, really like this card. It's very great with a field like double Jace and this in the center, or something like at least Agosmar calling a Jace while I have this on board, so at least 6 damage. So it's really, really good. I like it over what's his name, Flood, because I don't like Flood's lifelink. Even though he nullifies penetrate, his lifelink still makes it feel like you're still getting penetrated. Then we have 1 Demon Lord's Dungeon. Because Agosmar is the only Demon Lord, I decided to put 1 Demon Lord's Dungeon for the sake of, if I have an Agosmar plus this is a free it's a free setup, and it's the only setup, but it's pretty great because then it puts my opponent in a lock, because if I have basically a just grab it for a second, just Agosmar with any construct, I'll just say Blade Wing. It basically, with this and Agosmar, it pretty much creates a lock if your opponent's pretty dumb. Not trying to sound rude, but it is pretty dumb. The lock itself is pretty dumb, and also if you fall for this, you're pretty dumb. I can't sugarcoat it. It's pretty dumb if you just keep doing this. So basically, if Agosmar dies, and there's a construct and drop, or they're both on the field, and they're like, oh no, this thing calls back Blade Wing, and Blade Wing's also on the field, better kill them both. Then turn start. Okay, I take lifelink 1. Then my turn starts. This comes back. Oh look, this is back. When it enters the main, rest it. Get back the blade wing. Oh look, the field's still here. So you're wasting time on board wiping against this combo is just straight stupid. So it pretty much makes your opponent too afraid to go for your monsters, which helps with your aggression. Not so much with your defense, but it really helps the aggression. Next up, we have 2 copies of Oracle. Oh, whoops, not on camera. Oracle Tuval. This is basically your Dragonic Gamora clone, 5 less life. Discard your hand, draw 3. You can only activate 1 per turn. It's basically here for when you're getting low on cards in the late game or mid game, depending on how bad it's going. And just very good. Just free way to get in draws and get rid of dead cards potentially. 2 dangerous fuse. I don't want to go into the huge thing. Basically, look at top 2 cards, show 1 to your opponent. If you shuffle them around in their line of sight, you can't do it without them looking at it, or at least you can't do it like where they can't see it. Is what I'm trying to say. And like you can't shuffle the cards that you got off dangerous fuse like outside of their view. Anyway, then you have to choose one of the cards. If it's wrong, they go to gauge. If it's a different card than the one you revealed, it goes to gauge. If it's the same card that you revealed, then they both go to hand. So it's basically like a free draw 2 or free gauge 2. It is kinda useful in any enemy build because it really does help mitigate like all the high gauge amount of gauge you need for plays, and it is also technically a free draw too if you compare it to something like Nice One, if you do call it right. So it's a decent chance, except in late game where this card is very bad if it's your top decking and you need a way out of it, and you get this, so now you're relying on getting cards in hand off of this. Then we have 2 copies of Hidden Crossbow, which is just destroy a monster with 3,000 less defense for free. It's a very good card. I just choose to run 4 of a different card that is the original counter move for Dungeon. You probably all know what it is, but I'm just being a little vague. 3 Quissian to Cassiard. Going into the format of Impact Dragons, this is like Impact monsters that just go like, hey, I can't be nullified. It's like, I can reduce it, so fuck you. So, anyway, this is a very good card. Not only for the Impact monsters, but just in general. Any burn damage if I have an open center. This can reduce the damage. If I have an open center, I cast it, and it reduces damage by 3. It's the only white shield I'll probably ever accept. Not really, other than damage control. Damage control is the only white shield you should ever run. Either way, Quissian's a really good card, especially now, so I definitely recommend running this if you're running like an open center deck. Then we have 4 copies of Pillar of Fire, which is if I have an open center, pay 1 gauge and destroy a monster with a monster on my opponent's field with 6,000 or less defense. This is of course a really good card. The 1 gauge cast cost. I'm about to say every other cost. Cast cost is sometimes annoying, but it's not so bad once you just use things like Dangerous Fuse, 1 gauge Demon, and Alex Bane to help your gauge issues. 4 Shelsana, pay 1 gauge. I'm not explaining Shelsana. Come on, you have to know what this is by now. 4 copies of Adventurous Staff, Alex Bane. Alex Bane is 6/2 weapon with 1 gauge equip cost, and the ability if there is an enemy on my field, if it deals damage or destroys a monster by an attack, it gets me top deck into gauge. So it's really helpful gauge. It's very good clearing power, decent critical, and it's only for 1 gauge. It's very needed in an enemy deck, an enemy rush deck. Close center won't be able to use it as much, but it's still a really good card nonetheless. And it is adventure and staff. So if you ran Evil Break, it's searchable, or if you ran a mixed deck, it's searchable through FAP. So it's very good in that sense. And then we have my special card that I love to run in this build of enemies, which is Phoenix Radiation. Phoenix Radiation is a very unique impact in Dungeon World. You can only cast it if you have a dungeon enemy a dungeon enemy monster, and an adventure item on your field, and you're at 5 or less life. You can deal 3 damage to your opponent and destroy all monsters on your field. It is very, very powerful and decently situational. Yeah, I have to be at 5 or less life, but the field setup is not a problem whatsoever, unless someone's destroying your item every turn you equip one. But other than that, this card is fantastic and hilarious. Yes, the damage is reducible, but that's not what's truly important about this card. The fact that I can pay 3 gauge and destroy all monsters that my opponent controls is just pretty freaking great. And it's in the form of impact, so it's very hard for him to try and stop the play. And I just really like this card. It's pretty good. It's pretty lousy if you win with it. I really just like it, and I do love my foils. Anyway, that is the deck profile. Hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to TBIIFeed for more Buddyfight content. And I'll see you guys later, Joe, from TeamBurningInfinitey going out.